morning, and we have some great holiday news to share. The city of Oakland is now the proud owner of Clifton Hall, an innovative, permanent and interim housing resource for our formerly unsheltered Oaklanders. We are so excited that as soon as the week of December 28th, families and elders will begin to have a new stable home. That is the ultimate holiday gift. I want to recognize some of the things that are truly unique about this project. It's going to serve more than 100 formerly unsheltered Oaklanders. About 2/3 of them will be our seniors, and this will be their permanent forever home, where they can remain free of fear of eviction or displacement, knowing that they can age in dignity and comfort with supportive services and wonderful company around them in the beautiful asset-rich neighborhood of Rockridge. And then about 1/3 of the residents will be families that now can stabilize, get services wrapped around them, and helped to find their forever homes. And again, Rockridge is an amazing neighborhood for a project like this because of its access to BART, to bus transportation, to a fabulous public library, great public schools. It is a rich neighborhood full of opportunities that often does not have a facility like this located right in its heart. Now, I want to give tremendous gratitude to our governor, Gavin Newsom. When Gavin Newsom announced the plans for Project Home Key funding, it was initially restricted to just purchasing hotels that are currently being used as FEMA-funded temporary housing for our most vulnerable unsheltered during the COVID health crisis. But he heard from cities like Oakland that had some more creative ideas. So today you're hearing about a repurposed college dorm, and next week you might be hearing about another innovative model for bringing permanent housing to our formerly unhoused. We all know that the solution to homelessness is housing, permanent housing, not just shelter, housing. And that is what we are celebrating today as Oakland celebrates the receipt of our virtual keys to Clifton Hall, but also shares the great news that our families, our elders are going to be moving in right after Christmas at the end of this very challenging year of 2020. I also want to really recognize Councilmember Dan Kolb. It is not every city where a project like this would be welcomed by the neighborhood, and that is not by accident. Councilmember Kolb has been such a champion of compassion and dignity for our unsheltered residents and worked with this neighborhood so that they are welcoming their new neighbors with warmth and celebration. And I'll let him talk a little bit about that himself. So with that, we have, since we are being responsible, we are recognizing the county's health orders. We would have loved to have cut a ribbon on the building and given you all tours, but let us take you on a virtual tour of what used to be a dormitory for students at the California College of Arts and Crafts, and now will be home to more than 100 formerly unsheltered Oaklanders. Please roll the film. And with that, I turn it over to Councilmember Dan Cobb, the council member for the district.
Thank you, Mayor Schaaf. Thank you very much for this introduction and for leading the city's efforts in a steadfast commitment to housing our unhoused and to more broadly bring more affordable housing to our city. Clearly, I would say clearly our city has a need for additional affordable housing. I think that's a given. I think we all know that. And so I want to share that the city council, and myself specifically have a steadfast commitment to working to bring more below market housing, more affordable housing, more extremely low income housing for our homeless to Oakland. And that includes just about every neighborhood in the city. We cannot have a solution that is going to exclude many neighborhoods as part of that solution. And so that's one of the reasons why we are, in a shared way, we are also proud and accepting and supportive of having this new redo of Clifton Hall to become housing for our unhoused. As we know, the bottom floor will be transitional housing or short-term housing for homeless families throughout our city, families that are in Oakland that need a roof over their head in order to move forward to a more permanent solution and not have to be living on the streets. The upper two floors will be permanent affordable housing for our for homeless people who are seniors, for seniors who are homeless. And this will be an opportunity for them to, again, get off the street and be in a place where they can live the lives that they have a right to live. So this is very exciting, and this is right in the Rockridge, Upper Rockridge. In fact, as the mayor alluded to, I've had some conversations, many conversations with quite a number of residents throughout the neighborhood, those neighborhoods, including many who live just within a few blocks. And I just want to read one quote that is indicative of most of the residents in the Rockridge and Upper Rockridge neighborhood. I'm going to read this to you. Nearby residents have expressed an interest, quote, in providing a neighborly and enthusiastic welcome to our new neighbors at Clifton Hall. We want to provide welcome gifts to all our new residents. And that just very brief quote really says it all. I was pleasantly engaged with so many residents who have indicated how important it was to them that Rockridge and Upper Rockridge be part of the citywide solution when it comes to finding homes for our homeless population. We all know we have a challenge throughout our city with many homeless encampments, and finding more roofs over people's heads for families and such is our overall long-term task now and beyond. And this is one example of a very important example of a solution. There's more to come, as the mayor suggested, but this is one that we should feel very proud of. And I have to say, I'm a little bit pleasantly surprised that we're able to get people in before the end of the year. I would say, oh, it's going to take months and months, but no, the city and those partners with the city have been able to do the job and get it done before the end of the year. People moving in before this year, before New Year's, and I think that's fabulous. So I want to express my tremendous thanks to our city staff in multiple departments who've worked so hard with the NGO partners that we're bringing in to really make this happen so quickly and thoroughly. And so with that, I just want to reiterate our steadfast commitment to more affordable housing, more extremely low income housing for our homeless residents, and both in this neighborhood and throughout our city. And we will continue that steadfast commitment next year and beyond. And with that, I'm very proud to introduce Shola Olatoye, our Director of Housing and Community Development for the City of Oakland.
Thank you, Councilmember Kalb, for that. And good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be with you all here today. And just to add to some of the thanks that has already been shared, certainly the leadership of our governor, the support and enthusiasm of our mayor, and the steady leadership of our council member have really, I think, helped to illustrate what's possible when all levels of government come together to support such a vital and community need. This project, Clifton Hall, fits squarely within the city's goals to provide more homes for our extremely low-income families. And it is a wonderful day. And Mayor, I look forward to that actual ribbon cutting day as well. As any project like this, there are many hands that go into making this possible. And it was a huge effort on behalf of the city staff and also our nonprofit partners who you will hear from in a bit. First, I want to say thank you to the new residents, most importantly. Thank you for trusting us. Thank you for taking this first step in making Clifton Hall the new home for you and your families. The city staff that have made this possible today are too numerous to count, but I will just identify a few people who are with us this morning. My staff person, Christina Moon, who is just a warrior and has kept us moving forward. Brendan Moriarty, Laura Tannenbaum, and Bijal Patal, and Planning Director Bill Gilchrist, and so many of their team members really helped carry this work and are still carrying this project forward. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to our community partners, EOCP and Satellite Housing Affordable Housing Partners, Susan Friedland, who's the CEO and president of that organization, who's also with us today. Just so excited that when we identified a need, folks raised their hand and stepped up to the plate. So thank you, and look forward to many more of these types of celebrations. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague and partner in this incredibly important work, Sarah Bedford.
Thank you, Shola. And I hate being redundant, but it really is truly, I thought this morning, it's the epitome of it takes a village. It has been a massive interdepartmental, interagency, and as Councilmember Call pointed out, community and community-based agencies coming together to make this happen. And I think the investment in the Home Key program shows what we can do when we make that kind of investment, not just in capital, but in operating subsidies and service. We are matching some of this with local service funding. We can do this when we kind of knit and weave that together and work together. So it has been an honor to be a part of this project. I do want to acknowledge Maisha Stewart, too, who's also on the Human Services staff and is really sort of holding a lot of this, as well as Laura Tannenbaum in our department. But you know, the city has a PAC framework that helps guide our investments in the full spectrum of homeless services. And it set a vision that we could end family homelessness if we tried. And I think this project is a huge step forward in that direction. Our system, what we call our systems modeling, that's how many we do work on determining how many units of what kind of service do we need to serve our homeless population. And while we never have enough, it is estimated that there are 500 families who at any given point experience homelessness in the city of Oakland in a given year. And our current system can only support about 90 or less families. So the 20 to 25 families that will be served here in this building is like a 20 to 25% increase in our capacity to serve families. That is a big step forward to ending family homelessness. We are excited to partner with the East Oakland Community Project, and you'll hear from Wendy Jackson, the executive director, in a minute. They are a long-standing partner of the city. They're the largest emergency housing provider in the county of Alameda, and they currently do an incredible job in managing multiple family shelters and other kinds of facilities. And we are thrilled that they have stepped into this project with us, and we are confident in their ability to do that. We are excited to begin to move families in on the week of December 28th. We have already identified families who are waiting and going through the process of getting ready to move in. This program will be able to support fathers as well, given the configuration of the building, and that is a very unusual thing, since many family shelters are more geared towards domestic violence and therefore can't take fathers. And I just have to take us back to a moment when Vice Chancellor Laura called me and said, I've seen the building, and as the mayor said, this is a location that really is an opportunity for families. We are connected to bus and BART. We're connected to a full service grocery store and restaurants. It is the kind of neighborhood that will allow these families to thrive and to continue to move on their journey. And as Councilmember Kalb said, and I live not far from here, my neighbors have reached out to me and asking what they can do and how they can embrace this project. So I feel so hopeful for families. In addition to that, the program will have 24/7 staffing. There will be access to job counseling and employment, but the real focus will be with the what we call housing navigators, to find families their permanent home, as the mayor calls it, their forever home. There are opportunities to have for families to gather inside the building. There will be a playground for children. We're thinking about a community garden. So there's lots of ways we will make, during this difficult transition for families, we will make the environment as nurturing and welcoming and as warm as possible. But the best person to speak to that and to the importance of this work and how she does the magic that she does would be Wendy Jackson, and she's our Executive Director of East Oakland Community Project. So I will turn it over to her.
Wendy, you're muted.
Thank you, Dan. I just want you all to know that I'm thrilled to be here, and that this is a wonderful example of what happens when everybody's on the same page trying to achieve part of the solution. And I just want to give a very quick comparison. When the East Oakland Community Project built a green homeless shelter that opened in 2008, I kid you not, it took 9 years and 12 funding sources to open that shelter. And I cannot often, every day I wake up, I cannot believe that this has happened in such a short period of time, because everybody's eyes were on the prize of getting homeless families and seniors in a place where they could do better, where they could stabilize their families and move forward. And I'm just thrilled about it. The East Oakland Community Project has been a longtime partner of the city of Oakland, and the contracts that have come out of this to fund the program, the collaboration that we've had with the city over the past 24 years is part of what this is. And that's why I'm so thrilled that we are continuing our partnership and moving forward in a faster, more focused manner to get this big job done. So I'm just thrilled. I want you to know that the programs that we are using to help families stabilize and thrive are not new. They're case management oriented programs, and case management oriented programs are about workers developing real relationships with families to know what they want to achieve, how they need to achieve it, and working with them to get there, and keeping the focus on the prize, which is greater stability for families. We have a coordinated entry system, a system that allows families to call one number. It could be 211, or it could be the direct number for the coordinated entry system, which is called For Families, the Family Front Door. Families are then directed to various organizations that have housing, temporary housing for families, and then worked with in order to get into permanent housing. One of the wonderful things about this new program is that we were in a temporary location through a great partnership with the city of Emeryville, and now we will be moving from that place to 5276 Broadway, Clifton Hall, and the services will be the same. As I said, they're case management driven, but we have already, through the focus that this has brought, we have already turned over that population once by placing the first families in housing already. That's just so quickly, so focused. It tells me that there's so much hope in a year where we've been looking for hope. This is a very hopeful project, a project where we can all as Oaklanders feel positive, feel like the future is going to be won by such an important program. So I just want to say that this is a time when we can all look for ways to make things better by making things better. And that's what Oakland has done, and I am proud to be here. I've been here for something like 40 years, and I'm thrilled. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And we're also going to hear from Susan Freeland, the CEO of Satellite Affordable Housing Association. Susan?
Okay, had to unmute there. Thank you so much, Shola. And I just want to say on behalf of Satellite Affordable Housing Associates, SAHA, we are really honored and thrilled and humbled to have been selected to be your trusted operator of the permanent supportive housing piece of this incredibly unique program. And I want to echo what Wendy said. Our company, our nonprofit's been around building, operating, and providing supportive services for low-income families, seniors, formerly homeless, people with special needs for over 50 years. I personally have been working in this field for 25 of those 50 years, and I have never in my career seen a project go from conception to reality in this type of timeline. It is awe-inspiring. And when we had first heard about the Project Home Key funding being made available through the CARES Act at the federal level, coming to the state, we honestly had a bit of skepticism. How on earth would cities be able to mobilize so quickly to identify buildings, to evaluate their condition, to get into contract, to find an operator in 4 months? It just seemed impossible. So when Shola reached out to us to see if we were interested in participating in Clifton Hall, it was a Friday afternoon, and I was a little skeptical. How on earth is the city going to find a building, buy a building, and get this building operational in this timeline? And my battle-weary senior staff, who normally would have said, it's COVID, we can't do this, all looked at me and said, absolutely, this is never going to happen again. We have to participate. And so from that moment on, we've been working side by side with all the partners here. And again, it is really awe-inspiring to see what can happen when these critical pieces can come together. A huge need, an actual building available, political will, and money. When those four things can come together, really lives can be changed. And so I just wanted to say how remarkable from our experience and our maybe cynicism after all of these years of seeing just how long it takes to create housing opportunities, that this is happening before our very eyes in a year like no other. So I just want to wholeheartedly congratulate everyone involved in this project and thank the press for their interest in it. I think it is really newsworthy and remarkable.
Excellent. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. At this time, we are going to open it up to the press for questions and answers. So if you can fill in the chat, I will start to call on folks and Miss Messiah will unmute you. Sarah Ravani, can you unmute Sarah Ravani, please?
Good morning. Thank you all for everything this morning. I am just wondering how much the rent will be for residents of the Clifton and how long families are able to stay at the facility.
For the families, there is not a time limit on how long they can stay, but the focus will be on supporting them in identifying permanent housing. So the goal is that their stay is not long, but it will not be time limited.
Also, there is no rent for families in this program. This is a shelter for as long as people need to find permanent housing with the support of our staff. So there's no rent.
Susan, though, is there a limited amount of rent for the seniors? Because there are two different programs in one building, so they're quite different.
Yes, there are two different programs. So on the first two floors is the shelter that's being operated by EOCP, where the first group of residents will be moving in, and that's the timeline that has been talked about. The top two floors are the permanent supportive housing piece. Those residents will have regular leases and be long-term residents. We're still examining all the different rent levels, but it will be structured so people pay no more than 30% of their income for rent in the permanent supportive housing.
Well, that's it. No other questions. This was pretty easy. Media's taking it easy on us today. I like that. Feel good story for the holidays and a lot of great work from our staff and our partners. So thank you all very much. We have recorded this. So if there's anyone that would like a copy of the recording, feel free to reach out to me via email. Mayor Schaaf, is there anything you'd like to say to close us out?
I hope you don't find this inappropriate, but I just have to say there ain't no hustle like an Oakland hustle. Like the speed with which city staff and our nonprofit partners worked to make this holiday miracle happen has got to give everyone hope. This is the type of partnership, political will, and sense of urgency that we need to continue, whether we are in a pandemic or not, to address our previous pandemic that will be with us after COVID is cured. And that is the pandemic of housing insecurity in the Bay Area. So thank you, everyone. There is more to come. We have another great announcement next week, so stay tuned. More holiday miracles on the way in Oakland, California. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe and happy, hunkered down holiday.